Patreon.com/the Walk Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there. Let's look at the kids. Bo and Vladdy. I know this is a point of frustration for you as well.
Yep.
You would have loved to see
Anthopoulos signs. They would have been signed in the second.
You might be right.
Without a doubt.
Might be right. You might be right. These kids are not from the same background as the kids he's signing in Atlanta. I think that's a factor.
But Anthopoulos went to Vladdy in 2015 and sat down with him and said all the right things to make him sign. All the right things. And then Mark Shapiro, how many postseason wins does Mark Shapiro have as a GM?
Okay, but we're also looking at a small sample size here, Joel.
No, as a GM in his entire career since
No.
2000.
No. But this is the thing, is that we can look at Ross Atkins. We can look at Alex Anthopoulos and go, wow, he won a World Series with the Atlanta Braves. Genius, right?
Signed his core of players.
Sure, but we can also we can have this same conversation 2 years from now after Acuna Jr. holds out and demands a trade or demands to renegotiate his contract, and on the heels of the Blue Jays winning back-to-back World Series, and go, wow, look how great Ross Atkins and Shapiro are compared. It's a little bit unfair to be calculating this right now. I think we do need to look back at the end of the 10 years and go, okay, yeah, this one was a better approach. Winning a World Series is a lot of luck, right? You got to line up your cards. You got to get your things in order, but a lot of it does come down to injuries and health and guys having clutch performances that you can't bank on paper, right? Like, we say all the time, this is why the games are played, right? Is because it's not just about the best team on paper wins it all. So if that's
Did Alex Anthopoulos in that World Series run go get a bunch of defensive outfielders, or did he go get a bunch of mashers and just mash his way to a world championship with Jorge Soler in the outfield, not catching anything? Did Kyle Schwarber just lead the Phillies?
Hey, I understand the Phillies just went to the World Series and didn't have a single glove on their team.
Is the joke of Moneyball that Mark Shapiro doesn't know what he's doing in 2000 and is playing the defense game when defense doesn't matter really as a metric? Like, it's not really a comparable metric in 2000, but he's still is he still holding on to those concepts that Billy Beane schooled him on 20 years ago?
Okay.
And we made one of the greatest baseball movies about.
Let's dissect that. Then let's dissect the baseball, the defensive baseball aspect, because there are rule changes coming to baseball that we don't know how they're going to play out.
That's
right. A restriction on the shift, a limitation of how many infielders you have in the outfield, where you play your infield. I do think that this is going to have an impact on baseball and offense. And I think it's good. Until it happens, until it's actually implemented, we won't be able to really measure the impact. What I do like about what Ross and Shapiro have done here is they have seen, at least in my opinion, they are at least looking forward as to where baseball is going and are making steps to build a team that will be hopefully successful in tomorrow's baseball, not based on yesterday's baseball. I didn't really care for last year and the year before how much we were shifting when the writing was on the wall that shifting is going away. Mm-hmm. So I didn't like the approach of well, let's just do this as much as we can while we can. It felt like this offseason, finally we started
in the offseason. We have to
finally the approach at least was, hey, look, this is what we think baseball is going to become, and let's try and build a team that will be successful in what we think baseball will be. Mm-hmm. Do you want to give any tip of the cap to them there at all, or you can't?
Late to the party on getting lefties. I think they were so late to the party on getting lefty bats, and now we brought in lefty bats that in this delusional world have balanced our lineup just because they're lefties. These guys are hurt, or they can't hit lefties, right? You're not Dalton Varsho coming into the lineup doesn't balance our lineup. The guy can't hit lefties. Teo and Lourdes hit as good against righties as Varsho does, and Teo has a 1050 OPS against lefties, right? Like one of the best hitters in baseball, period, against lefties. Gone. Carlos Rodon, those games don't matter because Dalton Varsho's now in, and he's got a 550 OPS against lefties. Not in the lineup, right? Like that is not balanced just because there's an L next to the way that he bats. That's not balancing a lineup. That's getting rid of a number 4 hitter for a number 7 hitter occasionally.
Hey, you know what? You're talking to a guy who has been on the trumpet as long as this podcast has existed, that I would rather a good hitting righty than a lefty just for the sake of a lefty.
Yeah, like
I'm not saying that's what Dalton Varsho is at all. I'm higher on Varsho than you are. I hope things play out and I'm right. And I think you as a Jays fan also hope that I'm right.
I do. Once again, let's preface that to every single fan here. I told you at the end of the year that I will happily eat a crow bowl of hat, a hat made of crow at the end of the season when we win the World Series. I'm looking forward to that meal. Okay. I want to be wrong, but this thing inside me is scared. And the being low on Varsho, once again, it's at the cost of Lourdes and if it's just one, I like the move. Losing one of those bats. But let's be honest, when it comes, your Teo, Lourdes, Simeon, these 3 guys who have left the team, all can legitimately hit in the top 5 spots. When it comes to if there's an injury that takes place, Lourdes can move up to 2. Lourdes can hit 4. Lourdes can hit 1.
I'm not as high on Lourdes as you are.
Not ideal, but the guy's a 285 career hitter, right? He's a 797 career OPS guy, 117 OPS plus. He's a good hitter. If 285 is the new 300, he's a 300 hitter, right? That ability to consistently hit is, to me, something that goes so far in the postseason. Hitters, not walkers. Not guys who bat $160 and get a walk and occasional home run. That doesn't play in the postseason. Everybody knows it. The reason I think Derek Jeter is one of here, I'm going to lose everybody. I think Derek Jeter is underrated because for 18 seasons, he played 155 games, averaged a 315 batting average, played all the time. Let's talk about Bo's 23 errors at shortstop. That's a great number. Give me 23 again. Give me 23 for the next decade. If you're leading the league in hits and you're batting 300, and you have 25 home run pop, and you don't think that guy is worth $7.5 million in arbitration when you've only paid him $2.8 million since 2006. Who hired these guys? Are GMs, Adam? Why?
I love it. Let's end on that note about Bo Bichette, because let's just get your thought. I know you're a big Bo Bichette believer. I am too. I am constantly blown away by the frustration across Reddit and Facebook and our comment section and Twitter and other podcasts. Any frustration with Bo Bichette as a hitter and his quote unquote approach at the plate. I just don't understand. Like the defense, I understand the argument for his defense. I still think he's young. I still think, name other than Francisco Lindor, one elite superstar shortstop on both sides of the ball before the age of 25. You can't do it.
Since Alex Rodriguez, they don't look for that anymore.
So
since Alex Rodriguez, Miguel Tejada, Nomar Garcia, part of Derek Jeter, the entire concept of shortstop has gone from not Ozzie Smith. It's gone to Corey Seager. It's gone to mashing Fernando Tatis style shortstops.
So with that in mind, Bo Bichette, if you want to critique his defense, I don't agree with that as the most important measurement of a shortstop, but I'll listen to it. What I can't wrap my mind around is people frustrated with his approach at the plate. How can you be frustrated with someone's approach at the plate when they literally have led the league in hits 2 seasons in a row?
Yeah, 159 games played back-to-back seasons, healthy. He can run. He's got incredible power for his size. Right? Like to me, if Bo Bichette puts together a average or above average defensive game, you're looking at MVP. You're looking
Yeah.
at an MVP player.
This is what I'm talking about. I'm saying Bo Bichette is going to put some haters to to quiet mode this
The other
season, I
thing is
think.
I love Bo's attitude. You always hear Bo's the first guy there, Bo's the last guy there. Now I get it. Bo struggles with defense at shortstop. 23 errors in 159 games. Let's be honest. Simeon had 35 errors 1 year at shortstop. At
Mm-hmm.
27, right? Like 3 years from now, imagine Bo putting up 35. That's like, oh, that was like that. It's a progression point for a 24-year-old guy playing the most difficult defensive spot on
Oh,
the infield. If
I'm
not the
with you.
most
And he plays it every gosh darn day.
every day.
159 plus games at a shortstop is what you know you're getting out of him. Give me
He's a
that.
99% on the field player at the position you should be 80% there for.
Yeah.
Correa, Story, Seager, Tatis, all of these guys injury prone, signing 350, 300 massive deals. Bo, healthy, doing things at a younger age that none of them had done. Like Tatis, granted, has some home runs. Some of these guys have a blip at youth, but they're inconsistent when it comes to being healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And Bo magically is healthy, playing the style of baseball that he plays. Back the truck up. Put the C on it.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Hey, I'm not a big fan of C's on the front of jerseys. Jason
You think a
Varitek.
Canadian team would be the team to embrace the C, though,
Hey,
right?
there you go. Yeah, a little C with a maple leaf on the inside, cut out on the C. I see it now. Okay, here's my, and I want to end the Shapiro Atkins talk on these two and their contract status. 3 years away, 3 more years of team control before free agency. I like that all the moves we made this offseason, none of them hinder our ability to pay these guys after the 2026 season, right? Chris Bassett, 3-year deal. Dalton Varsho, there's no long-term contract there. Anybody that we brought in, any of the moves we've made, like you can call it addition by subtraction if you want. The fact that we didn't commit to Lourdes or Teo on George Springer type deals. What's that?
Go subtraction by subtraction.
Subtraction by subtraction, sure, if that's what you want to call it. But the fact that we didn't give Teoscar a 6-year, $150 million contract. That is the type of move that would have had an impact on our ability to give Bo, to give Vlad, to give Alek Manoah when that's eventually due. Without having the flexibility to make those types of contract offers. I still think we can do it. I think that this is a competitive team, or we have the ability to sign these guys long term. We just looked at Aaron Judge, went to his walk year. The Yankees retained him. So I don't think the fact that we haven't locked these guys up yet does not predicate the fact that we won't be able to still at any point. I hope it doesn't come to the free agency year. I hope that, with 1 year left in the deal, we get some, or 1 year left of ARB, we get something done long term, because I don't want to sweat it out. I don't want to watch Bo hit 42 home runs, win a Gold Glove, and hit 310 and go, Yankees are going to be in on him.
See you at Colorado.
Yeah. But I do think there is maybe a nice thing of not having them locked up yet. If we were not a competitive balance team already, right? We're at the threshold. I think we're over as it stands today, right? If we were, and let's just call these the next 5 years of Bo and Vlad, the prime years of these kids, right? If we were going into their prime and we were still only paying a payroll of 150, 170, 180 million dollars, I would be livid that we haven't got these guys locked up. We are not capitalizing on the discount that we're getting. But because we are a competitive balance threshold team, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the fact that, look, if we were to have locked up Bo and Vladdy right now, instead of getting them for $15 million and $5 million, right?
Mhm.
20 million total for the two of them.
Yep.
If we were paying each of them 30
25.
million, 25 million, let's call it 25. So that's 50 million for the two of them instead of 20 million for the two of them. That's
Mhm.
$30 million less that we have to spend
On
on
broke, old, injury-prone players that we shouldn't have spent money on in the first place. Yeah, no, I get
on a
by you.
Brandon Belt, on a
Anthopoulos,
Chris Bassett,
dude,
on a these guys
dude.
that are going to help this team.
Mm, Bassett, yes, Kikuchi, Barrios, Springer, Ryu. That's $100 million. That's $100 million of stupidly spent money when you could have spent it the smart 2023 way on youth, knowing that 20 to 30 is where you spend your
I
money, not
still think
30.
we're going to get our money's worth out of George Springer this year. The Ryu
We
money
better.
is
One in
frustrating, but
five
it
would
is
be
what it
nice.
is. It's in the past. It's the
But
Ryu
what do you
deals
look
was
like?
4 years ago now.
Yeah,
Like
but
we
he
can't.
went off the field needing 4 surgeries, right? Like, isn't he? You're literally repiecing RoboCop together right now, hoping that he can take the field. Isn't
Okay,
like
so
we may have
we can
earned a
have
break
undone.
this year.
Hold on, we can have undone those contracts, whether or not we agree with the wasted money on Kikuchi and
Yeah,
Ryu and George Springer. Let's
we
just
did a
table
multiverse
those.
thing.
Those are already done. Would you have rather this offseason we didn't take advantage of the discount we're getting on Bo and Vlad, have locked them up long term, and then also still not? So it's the exact same team, but
If
we don't have Chris
yeah,
Bassett. We don't have
no.
Brandon Belt, where we're going into the season going, yeah, we've got Kikuchi and Mitch White. Those are our 4 and 5. Is
So
that
we
you?
we keep Lourdes, we keep Teo, we don't sign Brandon Belt, we don't sign Kiermaier, and we sign Bo. Absolutely, 1,000% that. 100% that.
All right.
Every bit of my heart screams that's a better team. That's a way better team, and we're locked up. We get win now and win future, as opposed to whatever happens tomorrow happens. I don't know. Maybe the defensive approach will work. Like the shock is you look at the Yankees and the way that they have stuck to what they are, who they are as a team, their mentality, their who it is to be the Bronx Bombers, but they bolster and they say, Glaber, you're not a shortstop. Move you to second base. They make those little tweaks. They bring in Anthony Rizzo. They bring in the left-handed bats that bolster that team. They get the arms that they need. They sign their guy long term. They do everything that you want. And you sit there and you go, am I going to become a Yankees fan? Because they're making the moves. They're
All
making the
right.
goddamn right moves.
You've lost me. You've lost me at am I
Really?
going to become a Yankees fan?
No, like Seattle Mariners, another team that I look at and I go, well, there's Ray, there's Teo. They signed Julio long term. They've got a young, good pitching staff that seems to be on their way up with cap space. You know, that's where we were in 2021, and they have the ability to add to the team, make that team better, and they have the long-term signing of their franchise player so that those kids can go buy that jersey for the next 10 years. Right? We shouldn't be behind the Seattle Mariners when it comes to that's the joke of baseball. And they've they may have passed us this year, Adam.
No, stop.
They passed us last year.
No, they beat us
They passed
last
us
year.
last year.
They beat
And
us
they may be
last
better
year.
this year.
We're better this year than we were last year. They have improved. We have improved more. We had a good off season.
What if we lose a starter? What if
Then we have
Gosman
Nate
goes
Pearson. Yeah, of course. I don't know. I mean, bad tacos can happen to anything. This is
from being below 500.
yeah, but that applies to everyone. That applies to literally every team. So I can't even have that conversation with you. What if Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon and Nestor Cortez get in a car accident? Then the
Yeah.
Yankees are in trouble.
Oh, no.
Yeah, sure.
Yankees are in horrible trouble by spending $1 billion on Garrett Cole, cheater, Giancarlo Stanton, DH, Aaron Judge, 6'7" guy who's going to depreciate incredibly over the next few years. Right? So that approach isn't great, but they'll probably be pretty good for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yankees will find a way. I gotcha.